Hi, if you've ever thought to yourself, I know I'm good at my job, but why do I actually struggle to put myself out there? Or maybe you've thought to yourself that I want to experience more ease and more overflow, but then it just feels like you can't afford to rest because you've got to achieve the next milestone. Or maybe you know you want to work on your self esteem and self trust, but it's kind of something you know intellectually, but it's really hard for you to experience it, and you're wondering how do you cultivate it. I am, if this is you, any of this is you, then you got to listen to today's conversation because I have just come fresh to the other side of, I think, one of the most biggest, like a deep personal transformation that I have gone through, where I have managed to move out of self doubt to a deeper level of self trust and self leadership from having just enough months income wise to financial overflow. What do I mean by that? I mean, my income kept increasing, but somehow I managed to find ways to increase my expenses also, even though I know all the right things to do, but that's how life has been like. And it's something that I wanted to shift out of. And the third was where constantly feeling like I'm not doing enough to just working at my own pace with my energy, half the amount of time that I would have put normally, and at the same time, doubling my income. So, who am I and why should you listen to me? I am Mansi. I'm a mindset and business coach. I help high achieving corporate professionals to stop surviving their careers and intentionally design their careers instead so that they actually get to experience a rich, free, and limitless life. And that's what this podcast is about. So, in this entire process of transformation, I have gone through a major, what I call an identity shift. So, let me just share some slides that I have for you. Okay. So, I didn't change the strategy, I did change who I am and what my self concept is. Now, I've already talked to you about the shift that I've made. Why does the identity shift matter? Well, because our brains are designed for resonance. What do I mean by that? It means that everything that you do, every action that you take, is stemming from what your self image is, what your self concept is, what your identity is, and therefore what your beliefs are, and therefore from there everything kind of comes aligned. So when you're trying to achieve something which kind of feels impossible for the current version of you, essentially you're trying to change who you are, the kind of person that you are. And that's why when you're trying to take action towards achieving that goal, whether it is maybe it's a health goal or it's an income goal, it very quickly becomes a battle for willpower, and willpower somewhere kind of dissipates, and then life is back to usual. Why does that happen? Because you're trying to take action from an old identity. So instead, if you actually upgrade your identity, you become the kind of person who does these things naturally and therefore by extension is able to achieve the goals. So when you, and that's how the goals that feel kind of impossible today start to feel kind of inevitable. Okay, so I don't want to give you a lot of lecture. I want to share crisp 5 lessons with you from what I have experienced over the last 3 or 4 months. So get your notebook out, take some notes, and this is going to be really good. Okay. So the first thing to do is, and this is what happened with me, you get clear on what you want and you lock it in. Now, here's the truth, okay? I didn't begin this year with a lot of clarity. In fact, I didn't even have the energy to do my annual goals. I just knew that I have this income goal that I want to achieve, and I've been waiting for it and waiting for it for so long. I was like, I don't need any other goals. I just want this one thing. Um, and I was also going through a deep emotional process. I'm just going to call it grief because I don't want to share too many details with you on that. It's not even relevant. So the fact is that I'm going through something which looks a lot like grief, and by the consequence of that, I don't have as much energy emotionally or physically. I am spending a lot of time just dealing with what I'm dealing with. What that meant is that while I was trying to achieve this income goal, I was trying to push myself. And then I designed a new offer, which was a goals workshop, because New Year. My energy was so low that I ended up doing the workshop mid Feb, which is kind of good because now you know all of the New Year resolutions is over. But I'm just trying to give you a sense of where I was mentally, physically, and emotionally. And then because I was in that zone and trying to promote my workshop, I barely got, I was actually going to cancel it. I got one sign up 3 days before I was supposed to start the workshop. And in my mind, I went, okay, there's one person who signed up. She deserves this workshop. So how can I make it happen? And then I got my old clients and existing clients to sign up for the workshop, and we were on our way. So now, as a consequence of this workshop, I was forced to test my process, my goal setting process, and I had to apply it on myself. So it forced the clarity that I was kind of avoiding. Um, so if you too are avoiding clarity, it's time to get clear on what you really want. I set myself three domino goals. I call them domino goals because when if I check these off, then everything else in my life has a ripple effect. So I'm trying to maximize the quality of my life, having minimum number of goals. So these are my three domino goals. 3xing the income with more ease, not with more hard work, not with more struggle. Second is financial overflow. I already told you that I was manifesting expenses to match my income. And the third was I wanted to call in my dream relationship because I was tired of being single. So those were my three big goals. And before I go further, for any deep identity upgrade to happen, you have got to set yourself goals that feel kind of impossible, that goals that the current version of you has never experienced, cannot fathom experiencing. So for me, all while the financial overflow is something that I had experienced, 3xing my income, because that level is something that I've never seen, that kind of monthly income. And second, I'm saying I'm going to work less for it and not more for it. So I am kind of fucking around with my head right now when I say I'm going to do this. And the second thing is around the relationship. I've had a lot of history and it's been difficult. And again, it's something that I'm deeply kind of moving through. So these are big goals, is what I want to say. You want to mess with your head, you want to break your head a little bit because you want to change the basic assumptions of your life, the basic assumptions, and the biggest basic assumption is your identity. So when you set goals like this, it automatically creates dissonance in your head, and when it creates dissonance, it paves the way for an identity upgrade. So that's the first lesson. Set yourself impossible goals. But what do I mean by locking it in? I use something called a cost benefit exercise, or let's just call it pain and pleasure. The human brain is designed to either avoid pain or chase pleasure. Avoiding pain is a bigger motivator than chasing pleasure. So I always journal, if I were to achieve this, what would become possible for me? How would I feel? What would change in my life? What would it mean to me? So I really dial into what an amazing thing it would be if I were to achieve this goal. How would my life change? And then I also dial into the pain of not achieving this goal. What happens if I don't achieve this goal? How would my life be affected? How would I feel about myself? And I really feel the pain of not having achieved these goals. And because I do that, it's completely locked in, which means that I don't need to go back and open a journal to see what my goals were. I know my goals. I'm living my goals. I'm embodying my goals every single day. I wake up and I know what is it that I'm wanting to create in my life. And that's the clarity you want when you want to do an identity upgrade. You can't have a number of goals or vague goals. You've got to have very specific things, be very clear on what you want, why you want, and why is it a non-negotiable for you. Because when it is a non-negotiable for you, when you say I'm not available for any other reality, that's when the universe starts to respond and you start getting the lessons that you needed to make the identity shift to really change. And let me tell you one thing, change is not easy, it is not comfortable for sure, especially when you set goals like this. Get ready for a roller coaster, it's coming your way. And if you set the right goals and the roller coaster has come and the lesson has come, know that you're on the right track. So I hope this helps. Okay, let's talk about the second lesson here. This is about investing in yourself and backing yourself when it comes to achieving your goals. What do I mean by that? So, and I'm also qualifying it that you need to back yourself from self trust and not self abandonment. And this is a lesson that I was taught over the last 3, 4 months. And maybe this is the lesson I am being taught over and over again because it's the one that I have struggled with. So, to give you a little context, when you're in a low season, it's very tempting to kind of buy your way out of it or want someone else to kind of rescue you because you are finding it hard to believe in yourself. You think someone else has the answer, so let me just get it. So for me, it looks like hiring a new coach or buying a new program or learning something new. So, and I was doing that. I had hired a LinkedIn branding agency because it's really struggling with visibility. Obviously, if I'm feeling so low in my life, how am I going to show up for other people and be here on LinkedIn all over the place? It's hard. The other thing that I also signed up for inner engineering, that's a spiritual program, because again, a friend was like, no, Mansi, you need it. You're going through all of this, you need it. And my best friend told me that you are a mess right now, you need help, and your tools are not working, get therapy. And now I know that all of these choices were not bad choices, but the thing is that they were not my choices and they were not coming from self trust. They were coming from a place of self abandonment. So none of these things actually worked out for me. The agency didn't deliver the results. I found myself in therapy and kind of again not really feeling connected to it as to why I'm doing this. And the same thing happened with inner engineering. And just saying no to all of this and dropping all of this took a lot of courage for me. But how did I find that courage? I found it when, when I'm kind of spinning, when you're spinning all over the place, you're like, okay, fine, now that's it, I'm done spinning. I just decided I'm going to lead myself through it and I'm going to trust myself through it. And accidentally, I stumbled upon using ChatGPT as almost like a mirror coach. So I kind of started dumping everything that I was going through and it started culling out emotional themes and mirroring back to me. And now that I had the clarity around, okay, what is it that I'm dealing with? I could apply the tools that I am trained on, which is emotion freedom technique and inner child reparenting, which are highly powerful tools. I knew that I was helping other people, but somehow I was unable to help myself. And what I was going through was so big that on the outside, even though I was healing and I was processing, it just looked like, okay, maybe she doesn't have her shit together. But sometimes things are that big. So I dropped all of these crutches, the agency, the program, the therapy, and I kind of shifted. So I started to lead myself and I started to find my feet. So when the goals happened, I was able to create a monthly plan for it. I started to work on my income. I started to look at what resources can I um, leverage. I reached out to an old mentor. I reached out for LinkedIn. I started looking at what other resources can I get besides myself and what's the support system. So here's the key, like the nuance. One is, okay, now I've signed up for this coach, I've signed up for this program, you come, you fix me, I'm done. Like, I don't know anything, I'm in your hands, I'm placing myself, and just help me. I mean, that there is power in surrender also, but I don't think that really works. I think it works best when you are in the driver's seat and not in a controlling way, but saying that, look, this is the problem that I have, and this is the support that I'm looking for, and I'm willing to do my part. And that is a place of self trust, and that is a place of being discerning. Otherwise, you'll just pick up any resources, right? You've got to be more discerning about what resources you actually pick up. So I ended up picking up some very sharp resources. I was directed by my coach to join a dating boot camp, which was designed specially for survivors and recovery people from narcissistic trauma, which is what I had. And that checked off the third goal for me. I knew I needed to do some healing around that. The second was the financial overflow. I signed up for a money mentality course, which I had my eye on for a long time, and I knew that that is the direction that I want to take. So I took that, and again, both of them I did at my own pace. And when it came to my own personal work, which is my income and my own personal work, I started to take charge of my LinkedIn. I started to trust myself that I know what is best for my business and I can do it. But I did take advice from other people. I started looking at what free resources are available, what is obviously something that I need to change. And I started to refine my sales process, my discovery calls, my content, my process. All of it started getting refined, my offers. And I started to get more and more clear and more locked in. And that started to show results. So this is the shift from self-trust to self-abandonment to self-trust, or self-doubt to self-trust. You've got to back yourself, but you've got to also believe in yourself. You've got to invest in yourself, but not from a place of I know nothing, from a place of I trust myself, you know? Okay. Third, and this is one of the most important things, you know, so I'm saying the third lesson is look at the funkiness and clear it over and over again. So let me kind of clarify what do I mean by funkiness. Funkiness is not like, you just kind of you started on your goal and now you've had a setback or something, or like you had a bad day. Funkiness is the mental chatter that it goes on in your head. So for me, it looked like you will never 3x your income. You can't even work a full 8-hour day right now. How are you going to do this? Or you can't increase your prices. How are you making this money? You will, or when it comes to love, you'll die alone. You're just too broken. Or life is just one endless test. Your soul has picked up the worst, hardest curriculum out there. No one has it worse than you when it comes to relationships. So that was me. Like that was my mental chatter. And obviously, when you're living with that kind of thinking and thoughts, it creates a kind of mental state and it drains you out. So it's that part of your mind which is really afraid. And I was afraid of running out of money, afraid to spend money, afraid to rest, afraid to kind of just give myself the resources that I needed. So funkiness is kind of the when it starts to come up, it's also a good thing. It means that your goals are triggering you. They are asking you to look at the fundamental assumptions that have been running your life. So it's not about, okay, yeah, I have this belief. Now let me just shift it and I'm going to use affirmation and it's going to make it better. Affirmations could be things like money flows to me effortlessly and easily. You are love. I'm sure you've heard this a lot. Like I heard it from my coaches. You don't need love in your relationships. You are already love. So you should give yourself the love, and that's how the love will manifest. And that has been annoying. Honestly, it's annoying because your brain cannot get behind it. Or things like rest is fuel, rest is receiving. It didn't feel safe for me to rest at that time. It felt like, oh my God, I've been resting and emotionally breaking down and falling apart for months now. When does this end? When do I get to just be productive? So, what do you do when this funkiness kind of comes up? Um, Here's the shift that you've got to make. You've got to clear it. You look at the funkiness and you question it. Where is it coming from? Where did I come to believe it? Is it actually true? What could be more true? So I sat with all of these beliefs and all of this funkiness and all of this mental chatter where I'm staring in the abyss of feeling utterly alone or feeling completely unsafe when it comes to my business and my money. And I'm going, you know what? I am choosing to believe something different. And it starts with one basic belief for me, like a foundational belief for me. And for me, that belief, I think I have it in the other one. So, anyway, the belief that I work with is everything is always working out for me. You either get what you desire or you get the lessons that you needed to manifest the desire. So, everything is always working out for me. And then it's about, so it starts with that, like just anchoring in a little bit into that. And then it's about regulating your nervous system. So what does that look like? It means I'm tapping with EFT. I'm walking, I'm listening to Shiv mantras or Devi mantras or journaling, just or napping. Like honestly, sleep really helps. So you want to regulate your nervous system around all of this and bring back your system into some kind of safety zone. So, and that doesn't happen by thinking new thoughts. It happens by just being in your body and giving it the rest and what it needs. So for me, it looks like I said, walking, journaling, tapping, listening to mantras or whatever it is. And then coming back and saying, okay, what could be more true? So how can I question this belief? So things like when it comes to love and relationships, I could see that it is my attachment style, for example. Or when it came to my business, I could see that okay, my conversions are not that great. How can I make my conversion better? Oh, that looks like changing my discovery call process. Okay, let's go change it. Or can I raise my prices? Can I make it simpler? Okay, let's raise prices and see how we can get behind that. Or just looking at things like how can I accept how I'm feeling right now? Giving myself permission to feel the loneliness, giving myself permission to fall apart. Because that it's when you're not resisting all of that stuff, it kind of just calms down on its own. And this is what I mean when I say do inner work. And I know inner work kind of can sometimes sound very esoteric and like, okay, what do you actually do inside it? Well, this is what you do. Like you regulate your system, bring it back to safety, you look at all the mental chatter, you change the mental chatter, you change your mind, and that is how you shift. Okay. So, and let me tell you, it's not like, okay, it's one and done, like you've done it, and okay, great. The universe is going to test you, and it tested me too. So, a client didn't make a payment for me, and in that month, I didn't have the energy to enroll new clients, and I needed to make a credit card bill, and I couldn't pay it in full that month. Um, then so these and at that time I had the opportunity to be the victim, tell myself a very victim story and blame the other person. But I'm choosing differently. I'm choosing to say, everything's always working out for me. What is this here to show me? What am I here? What is this instance telling me and teaching me? And yes, some of this is about them, but what is the part that I played in it? Oh, I had blurry boundaries. I overreached and I didn't filter well. And that's when I realized that, oh, I've actually been quite blurry in my boundaries, and I have because I was outsourcing my responsibility and accountability, right? So all the programs that I told you that I was signing and not really and doing it from a place of self-abandonment, guess what? I was attracting clients who were also signing up with me out of self-abandonment. So I had two clients. One of them is the one who didn't pay, and was she was expecting me to rescue her. and fix her because she has paid me. So it naturally, obviously, the relationship ended, and the other client also kind of, when I raised my prices, went out of my field. And that is what it looks like, to look at what just happened outside you. What does it tell you about your inner reality? Changing your inner reality, tightening your boundaries, plugging the energy leaks, and saying, I am no longer available for this. And when you're no longer available for that, that thing just kind of melts away. So the more you focus on the problem, please understand where your focus is that is the thing that grows. So if you keep focusing on the problem, oh, they didn't pay me, like how, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do? That just makes it worse. The money's gonna come. The money's gonna come from the, because this client is not the source of money for me. The money is coming from a different source. I am the source and the universe is the source. So what's the point of chasing this person? I'm better off learning the lesson and trusting that the money will come. And the money came, and I paid my bill. And yes, I had a little bit of finance charges, and that's fine. It's a small cost to save so much energy by tightening my boundaries. So, do you see, like, the stories that I'm telling myself are very fundamentally different than what I used to tell before? And I'm sure that you are also finding that difference in the way I'm telling the stories to myself. Because you can always have the opportunity to be the victim in any story. It's really up to you. Okay, the fourth lesson, when you're going through stuff like this, when you're really looking at yourself and you're putting yourself inside that under the microscope or inside the petri dish and being like, okay, well, how did I manifest this? Or what is my thinking around this? What is my emotion around this? And shifting it, you are doing a whole lot of deep work which requires tons of energy from your system. And while it looks like you're just falling apart and you weren't really productive, trust me, this is the heavy lifting that you're doing, which means you need to create space in your life, which means your output might go down, which means you've got to nap more, sleep more, take better care of yourself more, maybe eat better, exercise more, move that energy. It's because all of this stuff that you're doing to take care of yourself, your self care, and all the ways that you regulate your nervous system is really you sharpening the axe. You know that quote where I think it's attributed to Lincoln, where he says, if I was given 6 hours to chop a tree, I'm going to spend 5 of them sharpening my axe. Please understand this inner work, the stories that you tell, the way you change, the way you change the way you speak to yourself, your self talk, and the way you take care of yourself instead of asking, like treating yourself like a machine or like the horse which needs to perform and whipping yourself up. Instead of that, just treating yourself with better care and just taking the time to shift things. That is the stuff that is the real inner work, and that's what takes you to the other side. That's what gets you the results much more easily, much more inevitably, because you start looking at things very differently. Now the way I approach my business and the way I look at it, and the way I look at my offers, I look at my clients, the way I'm looking at my containers, it's all changed. And it's all happened very, it's not, I've not kind of sat down and be like, okay, I'm going to make a strategy and I'm going to do this and it's done. No, it's happened slowly and steadily, tiny micro shifts over time, where I'm just looking at things differently. And therefore, the way I'm showing up has changed, and the way I am, all the structures that I'm putting in place for my business has changed. Does that make sense? Okay, bringing us to the last and the most, one of the most juiciest lessons that I can give you, that self trust is also you trusting the universe, because you and the universe are one and the same thing. Now, I know passives, now the word surrender gets really confused where people are like, okay, I'm just going to pray to God and hope that, my life gets fixed. And of course, nothing actually happens like that. And you have to do. You have to plan. And you have to take action. Things don't just happen. I know, like we're high achievers. We'd like to take action. But it's about active surrender. It's about you do what you know to do, but at the same time, be open to being guided. You pray and you ask to be led. And I'm genuinely saying, yes, pray, put your hands on your heart center and go like, I don't know what to do right now. This is all I know. I don't know how it's going, like how the thing that I'm desiring is going to come into my life. So I'm surrendering this to you and you tell me. And then when the idea comes and when the nudge comes, you act and you act with speed. And that's how you get led. And that's how you will also be able to discern the actions that are aligned and actions that are not. What feels good to you and what does not. Because the whole idea of doing this work is so that you get to do work that makes you feel good without you struggling, without you having to hustle, where you just get to feel it's coming from a place of alignment and not pressure and hustle and all of that stuff. And I am living proof. The fact that I'm standing here and talking to you about this, where I did 2x my income and I did work only half the hours. And no, I didn't start off like that. I was forced in it because I was just going through something so big that I actually did not have the energy to put in the work, even if I wanted to. And then I was forced to look at this pattern where I'm operating out of I'm not doing enough, I'm not good enough, like over explaining, overdoing, making the fancy slides like this for this live stream where I could have just shown up and talked to you about this from my heart. These are all different ways of us showing up from a place of I'm not good enough or I'm not doing enough. But you know what? You are enough. And if you can trust that whatever you can do in the moment is enough, it actually does end up being enough. And yes, logically, what you're doing may not always line up with what you think is possible for you, but that's where grace kind of comes in, where faith comes in, wherein it doesn't feel like it's ever going to happen, but something bridges the gap. Something attracted the clients. Something gave me the idea of that particular carousel or that particular post. And that's how the client showed up, the money showed up, and I was okay. So I hope you enjoyed it. And I think the last thing that I want to share with you is this one affirmation, which absolutely works. And that is if you can adopt it, everything is always working out for me. I am always supported. Even if it doesn't look like things are working for me, I am trusting that the universe knows better, and it's like a parent-child relationship. Like you haven't seen enough of the world, so you don't know what is good for you. But the parent has a bigger view of it, and therefore is doing things for you. So while you may not like it, you may hate it, and you may struggle against it, you may throw tantrums, but trust that the universe has got your back, and everything is always working out for you. All right. So if this resonated with you, I run a 3 month inner safety container where we do all of this beautiful, deep work around identity recalibration and self leadership, um, which kind of works for both people who want to accelerate in their careers and people who want to escape and start their own businesses. I do that. This is kind of the foundation module. So DM me if this live stream spoke to you and you want to work with me.